If there's one thing I wish I learned sooner, it's this. It's virtually impossible to improve your life without improving your thoughts. As a man thinketh, so is he. And that verse from the Bible is so true, because a negative mind can never create a positive life. Whatever we think in our minds will reflect on the outside in our own lives. And as I look back, to my 20s, for example, I read a lot about personal growth and personal development, and I was able to change my life with the help of God in many, many great ways and in many positive ways. But some of the things I struggled with in terms of changing, or that I could have achieved sooner, was because I struggled with stinking thinking. A lot of times I wanted things to look different in my life, but my thoughts didn't align with what I wanted to see in my mind. At one point in my life, I definitely had some cynical thoughts when it came to various areas of my life. I tended to look at negative outcomes instead of just expecting positive outcomes. I did not always expect things to work out well or to work out for me. And I think it was a sort of protective mechanism for me. I worried, or I saw the worst outcome, so that I wouldn't be too disappointed if things didn't work out well. But what was the point of doing all of that? Why was I engaging in stinking thinking when I could have been engaging in uplifting, encouraging, and positive thoughts? What exactly did I need to protect myself from? And a lot of times, our input affects our output. So what we read, what we listen to, who we're around, impact the way that we think. And I wasn't always inputting positive, uplifting, and encouraging information. I wasn't always being careful to be around people who were encouraging and uplifting. So that input affected my output in terms of how I thought about myself, how I thought about the world, and even what I thought about others. And I knew instinctively, like within myself, that I needed to think better thoughts. And I remember when I really started understanding what Philippians 4 verse 8 says: whatever things are good, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, think on these things. It takes a lot of discipline to think on the good things, the pure things, the positive things. You really have to train your mind. One of the things I started doing was, I told myself, I don't have to think every thought that comes into my mind. I don't have to follow a negative train of thought if I don't want to. The thought comes in and I could just think something else. Or another thing I actually started doing, I would speak out loud a Bible verse or a positive life-giving declaration when I have negative thoughts, just to interrupt those thoughts with something uplifting, something true, and something good. I was basically telling myself, this negative thoughts don't have to take root in your mind. You can interrupt it with saying something that's opposite to what is in your mind right now. And I believe that's why affirmations are so powerful, because sometimes, we look at ourselves in the mirror and we look at our lives and we are tempted to say negative things about ourselves and negative things about our lives. And it ties into the fact, your thoughts tie into your words. It ties into the fact that words are so powerful, and words are creative. So when we're thinking these negative thoughts and we're voicing them out loud, we are actually creating negative things in our lives. So affirmations are powerful in that we are speaking the creative power of words and speaking life-giving words over ourselves and life-giving words over our lives, and that impact our lives. The thing is, if our thoughts are filled with jealousy, bitterness, anger, negativity, then that will just affect how we are, how we treat ourselves, and how we treat other people. And a lot of times when people are mean to others, they're most likely worse to themselves because their thoughts are stinking and mucky and dirty. And we really have to pay attention to what we think because it impacts our entire lives. It reminds me of that poem. I don't know it word to word, but basically our thoughts become words, our words become actions, and at the end of it, it says it becomes our destiny. Our thoughts are so important that it impacts the outcome of our lives and our destiny. I want to encourage you to mind your thoughts because it really impacts your life, and the best way to mind your thoughts is to ensure that your input is great. What you listen to, the conversations you have, the people you are around, those things will influence what you think and what you say and how your life turns out. Mind your thoughts.